The wrapping paper tears slowly, deliberately, the way my mother always taught me to open gifts, savoring the moment, not rushing the reveal. I sit cross-legged on the cold hardwood floor of my parents' Denver living room, the artificial pine of their Christmas tree saturating the air, the colored lights blinking in a rhythm that feels, tonight, like a countdown to something I cannot yet name. My sister Brianna twirls across the room. Not walks, twirls. She's 32 years old and she twirls, her manicured fingers looped around a set of gleaming car keys, the metal catching the light like something deliberately staged. The keychain bears the unmistakable silver crest of a Mercedes-Benz. My own car, she breathes, pressing the keys against her chest as though they are precious stones. My actual own car. Our father, Gerald, watches her from the armchair with an expression I have only ever seen him wear for Brianna, unguarded, beaming, stripped of the rigid composure he reserves for the rest of the world. Our mother, Patricia, stands with both hands clasped beneath her chin, tears already forming in the corners of her eyes. Outside, parked in the driveway beneath a bow the size of a small satellite dish, sits a glossy pearl-white Mercedes. I know because they made me open the curtains to watch Brianna discover it through the window. I stood there holding the curtain aside like a stagehand, watching my sister perform her shock and joy for an audience of two, an audience that had forgotten I was in the room. Then it is my turn. The box in my lap is lightweight, suspiciously lightweight. I peel back the paper to find a plastic piggy bank shaped like a cartoon character from a children's television show I haven't watched since I was 9. The price sticker, they forgot to remove it, reads $1.99. Open the bottom, Mom urges, leaning forward, smiling in a way that does not reach her eyes. My name is Nora Callahan. I am 34 years old. I hold a master's degree in structural engineering, a senior position at the 4th largest architecture firm in Seattle, and a promotion letter I have been waiting to share all evening. My hands do not shake as I pull the small rubber stopper from the base of the piggy bank. 2 crisp $1 bills flutter into my palm like dead leaves. It's the start of your home fund, Dad announces with a wave that dismisses the entire scene. You've always been so sensible with money, Nora, unlike some people. He winks at Brianna. The silence that follows is the kind that has texture. I can feel it against my skin. You know how it is, Mom adds quickly. Brianna needs reliable transportation for her new clients. Those creative industry types, they notice these things. Image is everything. Brianna drops onto the sofa beside me, trailing the scent of the perfume our parents bought her last Christmas, the bottle that costs more than my monthly grocery budget. She pats my knee with the gentle condescension of someone who has never once questioned whether she deserves what she receives. Don't stress, sis. I'll drive you anywhere you need. That old Toyota of yours must be on its very last legs by now. The Toyota that carried me 7 hours through mountain passes yesterday. The Toyota I paid off 3 years ago with my own money. The Toyota that has never once let me down, unlike nearly every human relationship in this house. Something cold moves through me. Not anger, not yet. Something older than anger. Something that has been waiting. I think of the gifts stacked beneath the tree with their names on the tags. The Italian leather briefcase for Dad, 2 weeks of my salary, chosen because I remembered him mentioning it in passing during a phone call last spring. The silver bracelet for Mom, the one she paused in front of for a full minute in a Seattle boutique window back in October, not knowing I was 2 steps behind her. The professional-grade camera lens for Brianna, the one she mentioned wanting, while I pretended not to listen during our last strained phone call. I had set aside a small amount from every paycheck for 4 months. I had driven down from Seattle rehearsing how I would tell them. Senior structural engineer. The words had felt like armor. I had imagined my father's face, the pride he has never quite managed to offer me directly, maybe finally surfacing. I had imagined, God help me, that this Christmas might be different. The plastic piggy bank sits in my lap. $2. Excuse me, I say. My voice belongs to someone else, calm, uninflected, a voice that has learned to carry nothing. Bathroom. I walk. I do not run. I climb the stairs past the wall of family photographs where Brianna's face appears in nearly every frame, birthday parties, vacations, milestones, celebrations. I appear occasionally in the background, usually looking at something off camera, as though even in the photographs I have already started to leave. The bathroom door closes. The lock clicks. I press my palms flat against the cold marble counter and look at the woman in the mirror. She does not cry. Her eyes are dry and her face is composed, and her expression is that of someone doing arithmetic, adding up a long column of numbers that has finally, definitively, produced its answer. The pressure in my chest is not abstract. It is physical, concrete hardening around my lungs, a weight pressed against my sternum, my heartbeat labored and strange. I have read about this phenomenon. The body's record of what the mind refuses to fully hold. 34 years of moments like this one. Not an anomaly. A pattern. The pattern of my entire life, finally visible in its complete form. By 2:17 a.m., I am sitting upright in my childhood bedroom, listening to the sound of Brianna's laughter drifting up from the living room below, where she and my parents are planning her inaugural road trip in the new car. The laughter has the easy, unconscious quality of people who have never had to question their right to take up space. I pack in 20 minutes. I take only what matters. The worn stuffed bear my grandmother pressed into my arms the Christmas before she died, the photo album from college, a small wooden box containing my first professional blueprint. The gifts I brought, the briefcase, the bracelet, the camera lens, remain exactly where I left them beneath the tree. They were never really about gratitude. I understand that now. The house is perfectly silent as I descend the stairs, suitcase in hand. My house key lies cold in my palm for a moment, this object that has let me in and out of this place for 34 years, this small metal claim on belonging, before I set it on the kitchen counter beside the coffee maker. They will find it in the morning. They will understand, or they will not. Outside, the December air hits like a verdict. I load my suitcase into the Toyota and back out of the driveway without turning on the headlights until I reach the end of the block. The Merced sits in its spot behind me, enormous and gleaming and bowed, like something left on a doorstep by a god who only visits certain houses. I drive. The snow begins somewhere south of Denver, subtle at first, a whitening of the highway shoulders, a thickening of the air against the windshield. By 3:42 a.m., the wipers are working steadily. Bing Crosby drifts from the radio about white Christmases and merry little Christmases, and I twist the volume knob until the car is silent except for the wipers and the road. My phone buzzes on the console at 6 a.m. I glance down expecting, what? Some acknowledgement that I am gone. Some alarm, some panic, some plea. It is my mother. The message reads, "Did you remember to pay the electric bill for the cabin before you left Seattle?" The cabin. Their weekend getaway that Brianna uses for Instagram photo shoots. The bill I have been managing for the past year because someone had to. A semi-truck passes and sprays a wall of slush across my windshield. For 3 full seconds, I am completely blind, driving at 60 miles an hour through nothing, and in those 3 seconds, something comes loose inside me, not in a catastrophic way, but in the way of something that has been held too tightly for too long. The memories come without invitation. They always do on long drives. My 5th birthday versus Brianna's, the hired ponies and castle cake, and 30 children in party hats against my grocery store sheet cake, and 2 kindergarten friends at the kitchen table. My high school valedictorian speech delivered to empty family seats because Brianna's junior varsity soccer game had an away match that day. My college years of 25-hour work weeks and maximum course loads and stretched scholarships while Brianna spent a year in Europe finding herself on our parents' credit card. "You've always known who you are," my father said whenever I asked why. I know now what he meant. He meant, you do not require investment. He meant, you will find your way regardless. He meant, we are saving our attention for Brianna, who seems to need it more, and we are counting on you not to object. My phone rings. Not my parents, not Brianna. The name on the screen reads, Simone Ackafer. Simone was my college roommate for all 4 years. She was the first person who ever saw me be treated as less and named it aloud, sitting in our dorm room after Christmas sophomore year, watching me sort through the care package my parents had sent, practical items, a hand soap, a $20 grocery store gift card, while telling me about Brianna's designer Christmas haul. "Nora," Simone had said, very carefully. That's not normal. I had defended them. I always defended them. But I remembered. "Where are you?" Her voice through the Bluetooth fills the car with warmth so sudden it is almost violent. "Southern Colorado, driving south, I'm not sure where." A pause. Then, with the quiet certainty of someone who has been waiting years to say it, "Come to Austin, stay with me. You've spent your whole life being everyone else's foundation. Let someone be yours for once." The words hit something structural inside me. Something I had not known was load-bearing until this moment. I can't just, "Nora," her voice is firm, "text me every hour, drive safe, the guest room is already yours." By 8:30 a.m., I cross the New Mexico state line. My phone shows 19 missed calls and 41 unread messages. I turn off notifications for Gerald, Patricia, and Brianna. The silence that follows is the heaviest silence I have ever carried. And also, underneath the weight, something that might be the first breath of something new. A diner appears outside Taos, its neon open sign a small miracle in the gray morning. I pull into the near empty parking lot and sit for a moment with my hands in my lap, listening to the engine tick as it cools. Inside, the warmth wraps around me like something I have been missing without knowing its name. Coffee and griddle smells, the murmur of a country station from somewhere in the back, a waitress with silver-streaked hair who approaches without ceremony and fills a mug before I have even opened the menu. Her name tag reads DOROTHY. "Rough night?" she asks. "Rough life," I answer, and immediately feel the melodrama of it. But Dorothy doesn't flinch. "Honey, I've been pouring coffee for 43 years. I know heartbreak when it walks through my door." She slides the menu across the table. "Family or lover?" "Family." She nods like this is the more serious diagnosis. "Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family. The special comes with extra hash browns today." I order the special. I eat every bite. I sit with Dorothy's words moving through me like something dissolving a long-standing obstruction. Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family. I reach Austin by evening. Simone meets me on her front porch with open arms and no questions, and when I finally cry, sitting at her kitchen table with a mug of tea going cold beside me, she doesn't rush me or fill the silence with comfort that would break the necessary spell of it. She just stays. The radical, simple act of staying. 3 days later, sitting in the spare bedroom she has converted into a space that already feels more like mine than my childhood bedroom ever did, I open my laptop and write an email to the senior partner of my firm's Austin satellite office. 2 weeks later, the transfer is approved. No family connections, no debts called in. Just my work, my record, my demonstrated worth as the engineer I have spent my entire adult life becoming. You got it. Simone appears in the doorway, reading my face before I speak. I start in 3 weeks. She grins with the uncomplicated pride of someone who has never once competed with me. Andrea from my book club manages apartments in East Austin. Rent-stabilized building, safe block, 15 minutes from your new office. I already called her. You didn't have to. I wanted to. No strings, no ledger. That's what friends are. The concept still lands with the mild shock of something foreign. I made you an appointment too. She sets a business card on the desk beside my laptop. Dr. Yolanda Marsh, PhD, clinical psychology. I'm not. I know you're not, but you've been carrying something very heavy for a very long time. It might help to put it down somewhere safe. Dr. Marsh's office smells of old books and lemon oil. She doesn't rush silences. She waits, and eventually words surface that I have never said aloud, not even to myself in the long privacy of my own thoughts. Favoritism, I say, in our first session. The word hangs in the air between us like a newly discovered star. And how did that make you feel? I consider the question with the precision I bring to load calculations. Like I was worth exactly $2. The apartment on East Cesar Chavez has 680 square feet, a kitchenette that requires creative navigation, and west-facing windows that flood the space with afternoon light. It is mine by the second night. I buy a bed frame, a lamp, a desk, and a single chair. The emptiness feels intentional space to grow into, rather than space abandoned. Simone drags me to a ceramic studio on a Saturday morning 6 weeks after I arrive. I object all the way to the door. Inside, with my hands in cool clay, the objections stop. "Don't force it," says the instructor, a small woman named Ruth with paint-freckled forearms and reading glasses pushed up into silver hair. "Listen for what it wants to become." By the end of the class, I have made a small bowl with uneven edges and a slightly lopsided rim. It is imperfect and entire and entirely mine. I carry it home with a care that surprises me. The call comes 4 weeks after Christmas. I let it ring twice before answering, bracing against the familiar tide of guilt that my parents' faces have always triggered in me. A guilt I am only beginning to understand was engineered, not earned. "Where have you been?" Dad fills the screen, his color already high. "Your mother has been worried sick." "San Francisco," I say, an old deflection habit, then correct myself. "Austin, actually, I transferred offices." Without telling us first, Mom materializes beside him, wounded expression already assembled. "Nora, how could you be so?" I needed space. The steadiness in my voice surprises me. 7 weeks of therapy is beginning to calcify into something load-bearing. Space from feeling invisible. Space from earning love that should have been freely given. Space from being treated as less valuable than my sister for my entire life. Mom's tears arrive on cue. We have always loved you girls equally. How can you say such? You gave Brianna a Mercedes and gave me $2 in a plastic piggy bank for Christmas when I am 34 years old. I keep my voice even. I'm not saying that to be cruel. I'm saying it because it happened, and because I think you've both told yourselves a story about our family that doesn't match the one I lived in. Dad's jaw tightens. This conversation is over until you're prepared to apologize. Then I suppose we're done for now. I end the call before either of them can speak again. I sit for a moment in the afternoon light of my new apartment, my new city, my new life, and wait for the guilt to arrive in its familiar avalanche. It comes. But it is smaller than it has ever been. And beneath it, something else. The quiet, strange sensation of someone who has finally told the truth. The family mythology that follows reaches me in fragments through LinkedIn messages from former colleagues, a text from my cousin Vanessa, a carefully vague Instagram story from Brianna about praying for those who push family away. According to the narrative being constructed without my participation, I have had some kind of breakdown. I am living in squalor. I have joined a wellness cult. In Austin, my new colleagues know none of this. They see only my work, the precision of my calculations, the careful innovation of my load-bearing designs, the way I can look at a set of structural plans and identify exactly where the stress is hiding. I think sometimes that I was always good at finding hidden stress. My therapy group meets Wednesday evenings in a church basement that smells of industrial coffee and hymnals. 8 people connected by versions of the same wound. Family doesn't get a pass just because they're family, says Marcus, a 60-year-old accountant who hasn't spoken to his brother in 17 years. Love without respect isn't love, it's control with affectionate packaging. The words settle into me the way good structural design settles into a building, quietly, completely, holding everything else up. 6 months after that Christmas, my apartment has transformed. Ceramics line the windowsills, each piece more refined than the last, the progression visible like rings in wood. A proper bed has replaced the air mattress. The promotion to senior project manager came with a salary that closed the last gap of financial anxiety. On the mantel, in a place of honor, sits the plastic piggy bank. I have filled it with $2 bills, one for each week of freedom, not as punishment, as a ledger of a different kind. Part 5, the wedding. The invitation arrives in an ivory envelope with swooping calligraphy. My cousin Vanessa's wedding, my name alone, no +1. For 3 days I leave it on the kitchen counter without touching it, the way you leave a letter that might contain bad news, knowing eventually you will have to open it, unable to rush the moment. So, says Dr. Marsh at our Tuesday session, her chair creaking as she leans forward. What are you thinking? I'm going. Her eyebrows rise almost imperceptibly. That's different from last week. On my terms, I've booked a room at the Marriott 4 blocks from the venue. I'm arriving Friday evening and leaving Sunday morning. I haven't told my parents my flight details. And your sister, I show Dr. Marsh my phone. 3 texts from Brianna since yesterday morning, the 3rd reading. So excited to see you. We need sister time before the chaos starts. She texts me more now than she did when we lived in the same city, I say. She wants something. What do you think she wants? The old version of me, the one who carried her emotional baggage along with her actual luggage and never sent an invoice. Dr. Marsh nods. And what are you bringing to this wedding instead? I smooth my hand over the midnight blue silk swatch in my lap, fabric from the dress I have had made for the occasion. 3 fittings. It fits like intention. Myself, I say. Just myself. The rehearsal dinner is held in a restored Victorian building in Portland's Pearl District. I stand on the sidewalk for a moment before entering, one hand around the smooth stone pendant Simone pressed into my palm before I flew out. Strength isn't the absence of fear, she had said. It's feeling the fear and moving anyway. I open the door. The shift is immediate and unmistakable. Conversations pause, heads turn. My mother's hand flies to her throat. My father's bourbon glass stops halfway to his lips. 7 months ago, I fled this city in a Toyota at 3:42 in the morning with a stuffed bear and a blueprint and $2. The woman who walks in tonight wears heels that announce each step with quiet authority, a silk blouse that catches the light, and the specific expression of someone who has nothing left to prove and knows it. I nod acknowledgments without rushing toward anyone. I take a glass of water from a passing tray. I wait. Brianna reaches me first. The designer watch is gone, her highlights have grown out. She embraces me briefly and steps back with a smile that has lost its entitlement, replaced by something more complicated, something that looks, startlingly, like genuine uncertainty. "You look incredible," she says. "Thank you." "The Merceds," she glances away. "I had to trade it in. Got a Civic, more practical." Beyond her shoulder, I can see my parents across the room, my father's shoulders curved forward in a posture I have never seen on him, my mother dabbing at her eyes with a cocktail napkin. They look diminished in a way that does not satisfy me the way I once thought it might. They look like what they are: two people who are finally encountering the weight of their own choices. My cousin Tara materializes at my elbow with a vodka tonic and the slightly electric energy of someone delivering news. "God, am I glad you're here. Your parents are selling the house." "I heard. Medical bills, they say, but everyone knows," she lowers her voice. "They've been bankrolling Brianna for years. The chickens have come home, as they say." My father corners me during the cocktail hour. He has the bourbon and confession energy of a man who has been rehearsing something. "Family sticks together," he begins, the old authority present but hollowed out. "Whatever happens, Nora, family sticks together." Does it? I meet his eyes without flinching. The old pull to soften, to make room for his comfort, to apologize for his discomfort, it comes, but it does not land. "Or do some members of the family stick together while one gets left to find her own way?" His face reddens. "We always believed in your independence. We always knew you'd succeed." $2, I say simply. "In a plastic piggy bank. That was your definition of belief." He opens his mouth, closes it, sets his glass down on a passing tray and walks away. Later, Brianna pulls me onto the terrace. The night air carries rose from the garden below. The bridge lights of Portland reflect in the river in the distance. "The Mercedes was repossessed," she says quickly, like ripping off a bandage. "3 months ago. My client base dried up. Dad can't cover it anymore. I'm actually scared, Nora. I don't know how to do this. I never learned how to stand on my own." 7 months ago, I would have had a solution assembled before she finished the sentence. A place to stay, a budget spreadsheet, a safety net woven from my own already stretched resources. Instead, I place my hand gently on her arm. "That sounds genuinely hard. I'm sorry you're going through it." She blinks. She was expecting rescue. I can help you put together a budget," I say. "That's something I can offer, but I can't fix this for you, Brianna. You're going to have to learn the thing I learned the hard way." "What thing?" "That you are more capable than anyone ever let you find out." The morning of the wedding, I find my parents in the venue library, a staged intervention, chairs arranged in a triangle, all 3 of them present. I am not surprised. I sit, but I do not sit in the chair they indicated. I choose my own. "This has gone far enough," Brianna begins, and I realize she is reading from a script they prepared together. "Dad lost his job. Mom's health is suffering. This started when you left." "No," I say. "This started long before I left. I just stopped absorbing the consequences." I reach into my bag and set the plastic piggy bank on the coffee table between us. Then I open it. $2 bills cascade across the glass surface, 32 of them, one for each week since Christmas. "This isn't about money," I tell them. "It's about what you decided I was worth. I've been keeping a record." Not for revenge, because I needed to see the pattern clearly myself. Mom reaches for the bills. Her hands are trembling in a way that may or may not be performance. I realize, lost the ability to tell the difference, and I am making peace with that. "We never meant," she begins. "I know, intent doesn't erase impact. I'm not asking for an explanation. I'm stating what I need in order to consider rebuilding something." I am calm. Dr. Marsh would be proud. Family therapy. A genuine commitment to treating me as an equal member of this family. Those are my conditions. They're not negotiable and they're not punitive. They're just what repair looks like. Dad opens his mouth, the reflexive objection already forming, and then something shifts in his expression. Something I have never seen there before. Something that might be shame. "We'll do it," Mom says. She is looking at my father when she says it. "Whatever it takes." I gather my things and leave the $2 bills on the table. "A reminder," I say, at the door, "of what happens when you value one child as a person and treat the other as a given." I walk out into the hallway and rejoin the wedding. The light in my Austin apartment on Christmas morning is the particular gold of a Texas winter, warm, horizontal, spilling across the hardwood floors I chose myself, touching the ceramics I made with my own hands, catching the edges of the architectural models on my desk from the Meridian Tower project that came in ahead of schedule and under budget. My friends arrive at noon. Simone brings wine and a playlist. Marcus from my therapy group brings his famous pecan pie. Two colleagues from the firm bring their partners and a competitive energy about the board game situation. My neighbor Alina from the building brings her daughter, who is 7 and immediately fascinated by my ceramic collection. To Nora, Simone says, raising her glass above the table that belongs to me, in the apartment that belongs to me, in the life I have been building from the foundation up. Who designs buildings that hold weight, and who finally stopped holding weight that wasn't hers to carry? Beside me, my boyfriend Daniel squeezes my hand under the table. Daniel is an environmental engineer I met at a professional conference 8 months ago. He is not a lightning bolt of infatuation. He is a steady current. He remembers small things I mentioned once. He disagrees with me without it feeling like a verdict on my worth. He asked for my opinion and then actually updated his thinking based on it. When I confided in Dr. Marsh about him, she had smiled the quiet smile of someone watching a long-stalled structure finally settle into its correct position. "That's what it feels like," she said, "when you no longer need someone to rescue you and can simply want their company." After dessert, I step onto my balcony. The Austin skyline spreads before me in the early dark, the buildings lit from within, some of them shaped in part by calculations I ran, by load-bearing decisions I made at a drafting table in the late hours of many evenings. My phone shows a video call from Brianna. I answer on the third ring. She is sitting in a small apartment I don't recognize, modest furniture, good light, the evidence of her own careful beginning visible in the background. The designer watch is still gone. The high-maintenance highlights are still growing out. She looks tired in the way of someone doing actual work and also somehow more like herself than she has ever appeared to me. "Merry Christmas," she says. "Merry Christmas." A small silence, the comfortable kind that has replaced the old strained kind. "Dad's 90 days sober today," she says. "He wanted me to tell you. He's going to meetings every day. She pauses, choosing words with a care I have never heard from her before. "He's different when he's not drinking, more honest, less loud. That's good. Mom's volunteering at the food bank 3 mornings a week. She's still doing therapy. She asks about you." "What does she ask?" "If you're happy." Brianna looks directly into the camera. "I told her yes. I told her you built something really good down there." After the call ends, I stand for another moment with the phone in my hand, looking at the skyline. There is a text from my mother. No manipulative subtext, no emergency engineering. Just, "Found your grandmother's dollhouse in the attic while packing. It was always yours. Mailing it tomorrow. Merry Christmas, Nora." An attachment. A photo of the small Victorian dollhouse I had loved deeply and inexplicably as a child, the one they'd kept because there was no room for it in my college apartment, the one I had long since written off as lost. Below it, a deed transfer document. Officially, irrevocably mine. Daniel appears behind me and drapes a blanket around my shoulders against the December chill. He doesn't ask what I'm thinking. He has learned the difference between a silence that needs filling and one that needs company. "Good news?" he asks finally. "Complicated news," I say. "The good kind of complicated." Inside, my friends' voices carry through the glass door, laughter rising and falling in the easy rhythm of people who have chosen to be here, who are here because they want to be, not because obligation or guilt or the weight of family mythology requires it. The plastic piggy bank sits on my mantel. 32 $2 bills, plus the original two, $34 total, one for each year of my life. I have not spent them. I do not intend to. They are not a monument to bitterness. They are a record, the most honest ledger I have ever kept, of what I was told I was worth, and the long, difficult, necessary work of discovering otherwise. Worth is not something you earn through usefulness. It is not something that accrues through responsible behavior or quiet suffering or the patient absorption of other people's failures. It is not something another person can give you, or withhold, or quantify in crisp dollar bills dropped into a cartoon piggy bank while across the room your sister discovers her Mercedes. Worth is something you claim. You claim it by understanding, with painful clarity, what you will no longer accept. You claim it by driving south in the dark, through the snow, toward the voice of someone who sees you. You claim it by building, carefully, precisely, with an engineer's eye for what holds and what does not a life strong enough to carry the weight of being fully, unapologetically, expensively yourself. I lean into Daniel's warmth. The city lights blur slightly in the cold. The buildings I helped design stand against the night sky like a signature. A year ago tonight, I set a key on a kitchen counter and drove away from everything familiar. I thought I was losing something. I was actually, at last, finding out what I was made of. Come inside, Daniel says. Marcus is threatening to cheat at Scrabble again. I take one last look at the city, at the illuminated evidence of my own competence, my own persistence, my own refusal to remain worth only $2. Then I go inside, into the warmth and the noise and the uncomplicated goodness of people who chose me back, into Christmas, into mine.